Okay. Um, I'm trying to think, were they called? I think they were called, they were originally called the Young Rascals, Steve. I think that's absolutely correct. And then eventually it went to the Rascals, I guess, right? And now it should be most of the Rascals. That's what I think. But they were one of the bands that never ever got back together because they could not stop fighting. Um, Eddie Brigati, I think it's Brigati, not Briganti. Briganti was the Robert De Niro character in, oh, what's the movie where he owns a bar and he wants to leave town? Oh, and his girlfriend's the beautiful redheaded woman. Guzman is a supporting actor, that famous Hispanic actor. What's the name of that movie? It's a fantastic movie. Oh, I could see the title. Oh man, let me look it up. It's one of De Niro's, Pacino's greatest roles, and it's a great movie. Carlito's Way. Carlito's Way. The character he plays, I think, is his last name is Briganti, but the lead singer of the Rascals was Eddie Brigati, I believe. Not that any of this matters. Um, yeah, Eddie Brigati. He recently died, I think, but he was constantly fighting with. Okay, wait a minute. He's not dead. He was fighting with Felix Cavalieri, who was the organ player and also the singer. Now it says he's not dead. I thought he is. I thought he was dead. Now, Gene Cornish was the drummer. I think he's dead. Let's look it up. Let's look up the Rascals. I mean, they had some amazing, amazing, amazing songs. How can I be sure in a world that's constantly changing? How can I be sure where I stand with you? I mean, that was. I ain't gonna eat out my heart anymore. I've been lonely, lonely too long. But of course, a beautiful morning, their greatest song, their biggest hit, grooving on a sunny afternoon, grooving, grooving. The language of the 60s. Oh my God. The Rascals. Who's alive? Who's dead? Let's find out. Four guys: Felix, Eddie Brigati, Dino Danelli. I think Danelli just died. I think Danelli just died. One of them just died. Let's find out. Dino Danelli was the drummer. Cornish was not the drummer. Gene was the guitar player. Dino Danelli was an American drummer. He's definitely dead. 2022. Yeah, he died at the very December 2022, not quite a year ago. So I believe he was fighting incredibly. I'm not sure. I'm not sure which ones were fighting, but that's why they never got together, back together for a legacy tour. But now they're touring again. I see. At least Cavalieri. I know they sued each other for rights to the name and all that crazy stuff. I don't know. All right, we've got a little bit of time. Let me get the right screen on. That might help, don't you think? If we had the right screen for the stream, let's get the right screen. No one even told me that we're showing the wrong screen. So let's get the right screen. I guess I never changed it. So I was thinking last night, I was up all night, up at 4 in the morning. I ordered DoorDash at 5:30. I never dreamed that my local Dunkin' Donuts was even open for a 5:30 delivery. They were. DoorDash came in 10 minutes. I mean, I've used every single delivery company. DoorDash is unbelievable how good they are in my area. They're amazing. They're amazing. They just, I mean, everything comes really fast. Most of the time, it's not spilled, and most of the time, the order is correct. And the drivers, a lot of bicycles, nice people, and the service is amazing. I'm always surprised. But I'm always amazed. I was up all night watching videos and just thinking about today, and I'm thinking about yesterday and thinking about my life, how I went wrong at every step. Slowly I turned step by step, inch by inch, not making the smartest decisions. However, I was wondering not so much about my decisions, I was wondering about your decisions and why so few people traded Amazon yesterday. That's what I did not understand. Only a few people showed me prices and money that they made. I was surprised why so few people traded. I wonder, is it fear? Is it not trusting the setups? I'm really at a loss. I think only about 3 or 4 people traded. Steve, I know you made money, and I think that did you make money on Amazon or was it the other? I think it was Amazon. It was a great trade. It really was a great one. The earnings are my favorite trades. Absolutely. There's definitely some breakout and trap trades that I love and that are warm to my heart, but the earnings trades, they are my favorite. They're the most intense also. They really can be nerve-wracking, but I love them. I guess I like the challenge. I enjoy the challenge. I feel like if we have a great earnings trade, I always feel like we've outsmarted the market somehow because the market does everything possible to try and make it hard to trade the earnings. They don't release the earnings on time. You can't count on it being reliable. So if you can make money under those conditions, it's really a really great achievement, I think. It takes getting, Steve, it took years. It really took years for us to keep making the setups better and better. The methodology is getting better and better every year. It took time. I wish I'll have to find some old videos of like the first earnings trades we took because it was so crazy. We were looking at Yahoo. We didn't have after hours prices, had no idea what was going on whatsoever. Not even had no clue what was happening with the earnings. No squawk box in those days. Okay, let's officially start this stream. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Pro Trade Room Plus. We're here for PCE Price Index, Personal Income and Spending. My name is Lee Goldstein. I'm the Trading Director for 10-Minute Trades. Please remember that all the trades we discuss are for educational purposes. I'm not a financial advisor. It is possible to lose money trading futures, so please trade carefully. Hey, good morning, everyone. And it's sometimes I feel like I'm a repetitive, constantly saying the same things over and over. Um, but maybe today's a little bit different. You know, the markets are a little bit bearish. Are they bear? Yeah, they're bearish this morning again. It looks like. Um, Want to welcome everybody on YouTube. Most folks are not here yet. So we're here for PCE price index. Very important report, especially in light of yesterday's GDP report. GDP was explosive yesterday, and that definitely helped propel that NQ setup to be a good setup. No question. The news was much different than expected on GDP yesterday, and that's a pretty big deal. It was especially good. You know, in normal times, that would have been monstrously good news. And then, of course, the worry is what the Fed's going to do. And, you know, next week we have a Fed meeting already again. So we'll see what happens with the Fed. Now, don't forget that the gold market opens at 820. And I like to put my gold on points when I look at it with an indicator. So right now, gold is negative from this morning, okay? Overnight, it was making new highs, and then right now, gold can't seem to stay at 2,000. That's the magic number right now. This report could do it. This could be what either gets gold above 2,000 or keeps it where it is, or maybe for another pullback. Let me explain how I'm going to trade this. So let's get the DMM. So just a heads up, we post all of our DMMs are stored on a host. In other words, just like everybody else, our website is hosted by a professional hosting company. And they very nicely sent us an email explaining that, oh, by the way, we're moving your website to a different server. Sorry. And I never got that email because I'm not on the list of tech support server people in the company. And then a couple of days ago, all of a sudden, I'm getting emails about machine IDs. And my machine ID, after one of the trades, it was early morning earnings. After that trade, I guess when the server move was complete, machine IDs stopped being authorized because all of a sudden they were on a different server. And our website was asleep on the server it was supposed to be awake on. It took me hours to figure all that out because I'm not, you know, I'm not like Joe programmer. That stuff is complicated. Fortunately, I know who to talk to for tech support at our various companies. And I figured it wasn't a Ninja Trader problem. I figured it had to be a hosting problem. But the DMMs are a problem still. It's not been solved. When my boss tries to upload the DMMs, he can't upload them. And we're trying to get tech support. So that's why the DMM was late. But, you know, full transparency, this is the technological world we live in. You can't call someone on the phone and have something done immediately. But fortunately, our host is very good and I'm able to chat with them in real time and that helped save a lot of time. Okay, so there's two DMM setups. I don't like the Euro setup currently. The last 2 months have been very mediocre at best. I don't recommend it. And the trap trade has been the best setup for this report. And you can see it's had quite a few good winners. And I'll show you the spike sheet. And what a spike sheet is we have a sheet that we look at the amount of movement an event has had over time, the amount of spike that it's had right as the news comes out. And there's a way to calculate what would keep you safe so that you survive the spike. So let's say, for argument's sake, we are looking for the largest number in this category, in this column. The largest number is 59, and I would throw that number away because it's so long ago. The markets aren't that way anymore, but just for fun, keep it in your mind. A more reasonable number would be in April, we had a 51 tick spike on the news. And the second column are the reversals. That's why it's called maximum target. So this report tends to have a significant initial move and then an even more significant change in direction. That's why we like this as a trap trade. The magic number, if you want to see if we could survive the worst possible spike or the best, depending on what you're doing, 59 ticks. So the number to keep in mind is 59. If our outer tier and our stop is greater than 59, then you would have survived the initial spike. Doesn't mean your trade would be safe. It might have still moved up or down and stopped you out. But with a trap trade, you don't want, just like on a breakout, you don't want a whipsaw on a breakout that stops you out in a minute, in a second. The same thing, you don't want a spike that blasts through your stop on a trap trade. That's the trap trade enemy. So 59 ticks. If you set up the trade with a 40 outer tier and add the stop, that's 62. So very possibly you would have survived the worst spike. And that worst spike also was so long ago that we would not really take that value too seriously. We'd be looking for more of these reactions because they're more current than these, which are old. But, you know, if you really notice, this report's been very similar since 2 June 30s ago. All right. So I think 51 is reasonable as a spike, and we come in safe. So I still love our setup on the trap. So my setup, keeping that 51 in mind, would be, and let me load my template, PCE prices. I don't remember if I updated this. I was just doing some testing, so let's find out. I thought I updated it to today's date. Maybe not. Yeah, I did. There it is. Okay. So we're looking at 25 tier, first tier, 40 on the second with a stop of 22. Time of the event is 8:30. And then depending on the amount of risk you want to take, the number of contracts is controlled by your position size. Okay. Position size means how many contracts at that tier. Position size 1 means one contract at tier 1. Position size 2 means one contract at tier 2. Stop is 22. Time of the event is 8:30. Account warnings are off. And then my label, it's a trap trade, is for gold. And I am trading this. Don't forget, gold opens at 8:20, so there will be volatility in the gold market. Like I said before, I don't recommend the euro breakout setup. I'll show you why. I don't like the testing on it. But even better, let's look at the live videos. First, let's do the things we have to do. First thing we want to do is check our time sync by going to the website time is, and that checks our time sync and it puts our computer in sync. I'm wondering if I forgot to send the streaming video. I think I did. Okay. So our time sync is good. Last month, what were we doing? Very warm in this office today. We were looking at the spike sheet. You could see it shooting by September 29th. And we had a Canadian news report that day also, probably Canada GDP. I saw it on the schedule for next week. Left side of the chart is what we're looking at for gold. Last month was not a very big move on this report. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a no fill, because I was testing some other setups also that didn't move very well. And I was moving my order above to get it above the high of the day. I'm not so sure that was necessary because I had another order above the high of the day already, but sometimes it does make sense to have orders with gold above and support resistance. That particular day, it still really looks like it would not have hit our tier. 70 was the tier, and it missed it by 2 ticks. And then it did reverse, okay? It did reverse. That's what's very important. It did reverse. And then the month before, August 31st, and that was a Thursday because you could see it was trading with continuing jobless claims. Usually this is a Friday, this report. This is one of the reports that I'd say about 80% of the time it's on a Friday. It's like the jobs report. 99.9% of the time, the NFP jobs report, Friday. That's when it's released. So in August, we were trading a different setup. We were trading breakout, which I don't like on this report. And the euro, if you notice, was a breakout on the right also. And again, this is a report that reverses. That's why we don't love the breakout trade, because it did exactly what our testing shows. It moved and reversed, and the euro wasn't a good setup either. So the trap trade was definitely better in August. And then if you look at July, as we go further and further back, we were doing breakouts. If you go back 9, 10 months, this report was doing better as a breakout, and then it started changing. So when reports change, we have to change with them. I'm just wondering, I'm just curious, do the prizes mean anything to you when it comes to the challenge? First of all, does the challenge mean anything to folks that are already here? I think that some of you probably got to us because you took a previous challenge. But I'm just wondering, we never had prizes, like we never had a $1,500 laptop like we're doing for this challenge. I think that's pretty interesting. Does that matter? Does anyone care? Does that make you want to sign up for the challenge? The possibility that you could win a laptop? Thinking about, you have a good chance of winning, because think about number one, so few people are going to do what they have to do to win, right? Um, the odds of winning the challenge are great. Why can't you receive it, Roz? Is it because of the shipping? We can't get it shipped to you? Is that the issue? Here's the link for the challenge if anybody is interested. So back in July, looks like we were on bonds on the left chart. Looking at bonds. Roz, I wonder, I remember in December, our shipping guy, the shipping kid quit. All the stuff was at his house. And I wonder, Roz, if somehow it got lost in the shuffle, maybe. I'll have to figure that out for you. I would think that if we shipped to Kenya, it would have to ship, um, it would have to ship via DHL or something like that. Hey, Langford, I'm not a big Dell fan, but I will say this, their XPS 15 is a phenomenal laptop. It really is a fantastic, fantastic laptop. It's one of the best products they've ever made, honest. And you know what? I've had a lot of great Dell desktops. I really have. I've really had I've had good experience with Dell, honestly. But they're known now as not building computers very well. There's a lot of videos, a lot of the builder people, and the gold open taking place right now. But they don't have the reputation that they used to have in the old days. Let's go over our setup one more time. But I've been very happy with the Dells that I've owned. Langford, did you look at any of the earnings this morning? I didn't see anything except 705. Something moved the market down, but Chevron, Exxon, none of them looked fantastic this morning. I didn't see anything fantastic except something at 705, and I had no earnings scheduled for 705. There were 7 o'clocks, Here's our setup for the trap trade. GC 1223, stop is 22, tiers of 25 and 40. Time of the event is 8:30, 22 stop, one position on each tier. That's the gold open. So I'm going to trade it. I'm expecting that we will get filled. I'll probably give it about 45 seconds. I think they build their own, Langford. I really do. I think they build their own. But I'm not going to swear to that. I don't know what's going on anymore in these days. I think a tremendous amount of all the companies are rebranding. You know, there's not a lot of manufacturing anymore. But that the XPS 15 that we're giving away is an awesome laptop. That's the truth. It's a fantastic product. Beautiful screen, fast. And I will say this, I've watched some videos. They have had some quality control issues. But, you know, you look at the Asus, I think they have some great laptops, great screens. Now, Roz, I was thinking about your internet problem. I was also watching some videos about Starlink and how Starlink is really expensive. A lot of people have throttling problems, which may not affect you because you're not in the US. The most popular time of day, Starlink gets really slow, but I think you're asleep. It's 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. US Eastern Time. Starlink gets real slow because they can't handle the bandwidth, apparently. Someone had an interesting idea. Who's your cell? Who's your cell provider, Roz? Okay. Is T-Mobile available in Kenya? All right, folks, we have about 5 minutes till this report. Okay, so they're not available. What they're doing, so what I was doing is I was looking at RV internet problems because being in a remote area or a country where there's no internet is like traveling in an RV. But obviously, in an RV in the United States, you could be a T-Mobile customer. And T-Mobile home internet is not good internet compared to Fios or Comcast, for instance, in terms of speed. However, and I think what they're doing is just creating hotspots. I think it's not really internet, it's phone service. I mean, I'd be willing to bet, and I haven't looked into it as crazily as I could have yet. I think it's just a hotspot. I think that's what T-Mobile is doing. Hotspots are so sophisticated and reliable now that I think that that's what T-Mobile's doing. And they use a Wi-Fi booster also, but this isn't going to matter because you can't get it. I think I'm going to just load my Euro test as a test, the setup, taking it pretty straight from the DMM. Bracket of 10, target of 8 and 20. Stop was 20. Yeah, targets of 8 and 20. Stop of 20. Just doing a test, not trading it. And I just want to check the brackets. So I guess Starlink is one of your only options. However, it does seem like the other, I don't know if it has an effect for you, some sort of a booster might fit the picture, but I don't know enough about where you are. So I'm just kind of in a gathering information. But I talked to a friend also about a VPS. And I think he's feeling that I got to go back to my notes. I'll go back to my notes. He used to use speedy trading servers, but he's not using them like he used to anymore. I think he's using Catabo, Roz. I'm almost positive that's what he said. But I'm not done talking to him because I had some other questions. Okay, we've got about 2.5 minutes. I think that we're going to see prices up. I think it's not going to be good news for the markets, especially with that GDP. But, that doesn't really matter. I think whatever the result is, it's going to move gold. All right, so we've got about 1.5 minutes. I'd probably give, normally I would wait 45 seconds to a minute on getting filled, but this really is the kind of report that I would expect to get filled reasonably quick because it's the kind of report you'd expect pretty quick movement on the news. But I'll speak out loud what I'm going to do if there's not an immediate fill. So the euro on the right, I'm not really going to manage that trade. So our orders will show up on the chart 5 seconds prior to the news. That's what the prep 5-second means. There's our orders. And now the news is going to come out. News is out. The market probably knows the news. It does. The news is as expected, which often can be good for a trap trade because it generally won't explode through all your orders when it's as expected. So now the question is, how long do you want to wait to get a fill? It looks like it's going to fill to the downside. It might test the low. I would give it a minute and no longer. That's how long I would wait. So that means I'll cancel. I'm getting ready to cancel now to tell you why, because we didn't get the fill to the downside and our tiers are just too small. I mean, that's the truth. Our setup is too small right now to take advantage of this trade. So this is a cancel, okay? I'm not going to wait for a dribble because we're not really trading the results of the report anymore. It's going to fill to the downside. And it's more than a minute, which is plenty long enough. It didn't burst, The risk that you take is it'll dribble to the downside and keep going because it tested the low of the day and it's going to make a deeper low. And it's not so much related to the news, which was very close to expected on everything and expected on the major news. And that's why you've got virtually nothing going on with the euro. Okay. So I'm just canceling the euro trade. It's pretty meaningless. The setup is lousy. And, this is the way it is. We now have to really look at the way that we're trading this and consider tighter tiers. That's what we have to do. And I think that it's safer to shrink the tiers now. There was, we've had one event that didn't fill last month. The month before it filled. So, we're not guilty of being too conservative or anything. Just that now, as time is passing, we have to adjust our setup. It's just not that complicated, folks. Sometimes there's not an opportunity because we're trading the way it's been behaving, but it's changing its behavior. That's what's going on. It's changing its behavior. It's just making smaller moves. That's all. So it's not the end of the world, and it's not anything that you have to worry about. A trap, it's still the right setup. Look, it went down and it had a fantastic reversal. It's not a good breakout trade. Even if someone made a few dollars as a breakout, it's still not a good breakout trade. The euro pretty much failed as a breakout trade. So, we have the right setup. We just need to modify the settings. The setup as a trap is absolutely correct. And Chantal is telling me that I did the right thing. And Chantal, is 90% responsible for the setup. I test the setups and then we discuss it. So when she says I did the right thing, I believe it because she's very in tune to what the setup should be because that's what she does for us. Okay. Now, Chantal pays me a lot of money to say all these nice things about her because basically she doesn't look at the market at all and just throws darts at numbers. And that's how we come up with our settings. We throw darts at a dartboard. Now, I suppose you might have been able to use smaller tiers and get filled because remember, the tiers are arranged. But so what settings were you using, Doc? What settings were you using? All right, there's no, I don't even think, let's look at the video. Take a look what happened. And I do want to thank everyone on YouTube. Thanks, folks on YouTube, for watching us, our free stream of the week. If you'd be nice enough to hit the like button on your way out, that's very good for our channel. And I want to thank you all for watching. And YouTube stream of the week, keep an eye on our schedule and on your email so you know what our stream of the week is next week. And thank you very much for joining us on YouTube. We're going to close our stream now, and we'll see you next week. So thanks for joining.